We can go ahead and start.
Okay, welcome everyone to the first Texoma Gives webinar. This is your Getting Started Webinar 101. I'm going to hand it off to Leslie to say a few words and talk a little bit about the Texoma Gives event itself, and then we'll get into registration instructions and platform demo. I do want to note you should be able to hear Leslie and I, but all of the participants are muted. This is in webinar format. So if you have any questions along the way or comments, you can put them in the chat. We also have the Q&A open as well for questions. So whichever one you're comfortable using, we will be answering questions along the way and at the end. So Leslie, I'll let you take it from here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leslie Peterson with the Wichita Falls Area Community Foundation. If you're not familiar, I will be your contact for all things Texoma Gives. And excited about our new platform, Mighty Cause, this year. I think it's going to be a lot easier for everyone once we get everybody registered and you learn what you're doing in the system. I think it's going to be a lot easier than our previous platform. If you can go to the next one. So as you know, Texoma Gives is September 5th this year. 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. is the main portion of giving. Like I said, our new platform is Mighty Cause. And as last year and the previous years, our minimum donation amount is $10. And if you're not familiar, over the last 8 years, you have raised over $11 million that goes back to nonprofits in this community, and early giving starts August 22nd. And just a few eligibility requirements. You do have to be a 501c3 nonprofit in the Texoma area, which is 18 counties in North Texas and 6 in southern Oklahoma. Unfortunately, we don't allow any 501c4s or anything like that to participate. Churches are not eligible. Pretty much anybody else is that's a 501c3. And you do have to register and be in good standing with the IRS, and there is a registration fee. So if you have any questions about that, please let me know. Grace, I'll send it over to you.
Awesome. So we're going to go through how to register, what that looks like on the new platform. We'll talk about a to-do list, which is a new feature this year to help you get registered and get your profile set up. And then we'll go into a platform demo, talk about the dashboard items that you have on Mighty Cause. We won't be able to cover every single dashboard item, so I'm going to highlight a few main ones today. And then we do have a second webinar coming up in August where you'll learn a lot more about other features on the platform. But want to get everyone acquainted with the platform. And then we'll do a formal Q&A. But again, I will try to stop throughout at the end of each section to take any questions as they come in, so that we're kind of on the topic with those questions as we go. So again, feel free to put those in the chat or in the Q&A, and Leslie will be sending those over to me when we stop for questions. So the first thing we want to talk about is how to register. That's the most important part of a giving event because you have to register to participate. So registration opened on Monday, and hopefully we saw several orgs. I think we have about 50 orgs have gone in and started or completed their registration form at this point. So we're really excited to see that activity. If you have not visited the site yet, you are welcome to jump on while we're talking and start to follow through as I go. You can click through on your end. We may move through the webinar a little faster than you're clicking potentially if you go to fill out the form, but if that helps answer any questions, I'd love for you to just pull up another window and follow along. So there's two different types of users that we have for registration that we want to talk about. So we have returning users and new users. To determine which one you are, just it depends. Were you the admin of the organization profile in the past, or have you taken over for someone, or is your nonprofit new? You would be a new user. Again, if you were the organization owner in the past or manager in the past, you'll be a returning user. So just keep that in mind while we talk through this slide. For returning users, you can click the link in the email that Leslie sent out. It has an automatic password reset that will pop up, and you can reset your password and then go back to this Texoma Gives main site and click Apply Now to get to the application. So you'll want to either follow that link or you can click it login at the top right-hand corner of your screen when you get to texomagives.org, and you can simply put your email in and click reset password. Your email is already associated in the system, so that will just send you a password reset link, and you can go from there. For new users, you will go to texomagives.org and click login. If you're not sure if you're a returning user, just follow this process and it will know if you have an account, so it'll guide you through those steps. But if you're a new user, click login, and then you'll just create an account using your email. And we recommend that you use your organization URL email. So for example, Leslie's email is lpeterson@thefoundation email.org. So that's easy to identify. She's associated with the foundation. So it just makes it easier for our admin approval process if you use your organization email. Once you have gotten logged in, whether you've reset your password or created a new account, you'll go back to texomagives.org and click register today to get started with the registration process. To register, you will see this registration form module on the screen here. That will be on the web page you visit when you click register today. The first thing you need to do is identify the organization you're registering for. So our Mighty Cause database has all 501c3s already loaded into it. We import the IRS master list to make it easier for you to get started, brings over all of your EIN and legal information. If you were a participant of Texoma Gives in the past, your organization should be in our system already as well. So you can enter your organization name or the EIN. I always recommend searching by EIN to avoid any confusion if there's any duplicate names out there or similar names. We also have your legal name in there. So if you filed a DBA or changed names since the beginning of your organization being founded, it may be under a different name. So I recommend to search by EIN. And then once you complete registration, the admin claim will be sent in to manage the organization. If you are already an admin of an organization, you'll see here in the example, it's offering me some organizations to click and register for. So we did a migration bringing all of the data over and the admins from the past. If your organization was part of that and you were the admin in the past, you'll actually see your organization right here ready to click and go. So two different ways to find your organization. You can do EIN search, or you can click and go with the organizations you manage right here on the bottom. If for some reason your organization is not showing up in either of those forms, you can click Create It Now at the bottom. You'll see there's an option, Can't Find Your Organization, Create It Now. And it will prompt you to submit a form to our support team, who will then help you either create your organization on the platform or find it if for some reason it's somewhere that you weren't able to find it. This is also where you would create a fiscally sponsored org to start that conversation. So you'll click Create It Now and then submit a request to have a fiscally sponsored organization page, and then support will walk you through those steps. So EIN, click and go, or create it now, depending on where you are. And then the final step is to complete the registration form questions. When you completed, you'll click Submit to finalize your registration. When you click Continue or Submit, this will actually take you to the fee payment page. It'll pop up and prompt you to pay your fee based on your organization budget size. So those are outlined in the registration form. So make sure that you associate with the correct budget size so that you will pay the correct registration fee. All of that is done through Stripe right on our platform, so you can pay the fee and submit your registration form. Alternatively, you can click Save and Finish Later. This is both useful if you do not have enough time to complete the form and you just wanted to preview the form. This is also useful if for some reason you do want to pay by check. You can save and finish later and then email Leslie to coordinate and request to pay by check for the registration fee. One thing to note is if you choose Create It Now, in that step right before this, you will not be able to complete the registration form until your organization profile has been identified or created. So you want to get that form in as soon as possible. We recommend everyone goes in and at least starts their registration form this week, because if for some reason you can't find your organization, you will have to get it created, and then you will need to go back to step 1 of this process and start the registration process itself. So just something to note, if you get in there and your organization is not there, you'll have to wait to finish the form until it's created. If you have any questions throughout the registration process, you will just email support@mightycause.com, and our support team is there 9 to 5 Eastern, Monday through Friday, to help you get registered. A few helpful hints about the platform. Since this is new, we've had a few FAQs from organizations who have transferred to our platform recently. So I do want to note that having a profile on the platform does not mean you're registered. So whether you have access to the organization or you gain admin access to an organization, that is not confirmation of registration. That simply means you can manage the organization on our site. The to-do list is accessible and can be completed without submitting a registration form. We're going to talk about the to-do list next, but I do want to touch on that. So you could complete the to-do list first, but you still need to submit a registration form to be considered for registration. So you have to complete that form. And then an easy way to confirm whether you are registered or not once you have registered and completed your to-do list is that you will see your organization showing in search on the Texoma Gives website once your registration has been approved. So if you're not sure where you are, if you've registered, if you've completed everything, you can simply go to texomagives.org and search your organization. If you can find it in search, you're registered, you're good to go. If for some reason you cannot find it in search, that means you have a step left to complete. So you will need to go back to either the form or the to-do list. You can also see your registration status on your overview page once you're logged in. So I will show you where that is when we get to the platform demo. Before we get to the to-do list, Leslie, are there any questions about registration, the form, or the submission process?
Not so far.
Okay. Well, like I said, if you want to go in and get started with this process, questions might come up, so I'm happy to answer them later in the webinar as well. But we will move on to the to-do list. So something new this year for you all is the to-do list. The to-do list feature on our platform helps the Texoma Gives team, mostly Leslie, gain omniscient visibility into your organization profile page completeness. So this helps ensure that not only are you registered for the event, but you also have some of the necessary elements needed to be an active participant in the Texoma Gives event. So we have the to-do list. There are required steps and then there are recommended steps. The only steps you have to complete in order to finalize your registration are the required steps. So we'll talk about what those are in a minute. The recommended just help you build out your profile further and make it easy for donors to see your information. So think of this as a way to ensure that you have everything needed for a donor and they don't land on a blank profile page. So some things that are required for registration to be approved. You will need an organization page logo and banner image. This is important, of course, for branding and identification. When a donor gets to your page, we want to make sure that they can identify that your organization is the correct one they'd like to give to. It also helps you seem more identifiable in search because, as you'll see when you visit our search page on the Texoma Gives site, your logo is part of your search box, we'll call it, your search tile. So if you see your search tile without a logo, it kind of looks like your organization, sort of like if you get on a social media profile and someone doesn't have a profile picture. It's hard to be sure, is this a real profile? Is it who I'm trying to meet up with? That kind of thing. So same thing with your organization profile. A logo really helps make that verification of your organization for the donor. You will also need to upload an about section. So this will actually be, I'll show you in the demo, it's on-page editing. You will need to have at least 50 words in your about section for it to be completed. Something easy you can do is just copy and paste from your website. You're welcome to bring over content from your website. You don't have to reinvent the wheel and come up with new messaging. You can come up with new messaging about Texoma Gives if you'd like. I think that sometimes does help, but just a copy paste from your website is totally fine. And then you'll also set up your thank you page. So when a donor completes their donation, they will have a message from you saying thank you. And then lastly, for disbursement purposes, we will have you set up your EFT. And this is done completely securely across our site. You will set up your EFT request, and then it will need to be approved in order for your registration to be complete. One thing with the EFT setup, I will say, we prefer, I would say, a voided check. That's the quickest way to get your EFT set up. If you provide a bank letter, there are certain requirements for the bank letter that need to be fulfilled. So if you can do a voided check, that's the fastest way to have your EFT easily verified. Our support team will come back to you to request additional documentation if there is not sufficient documentation to support your EFT request. So just keep that in mind as far as that step. We are approving EFT requests and reviewing them daily, but I would say don't wait to submit your EFT request on the last day of registration. It just makes it a little more stressful for everyone. So make sure you kind of look at that step a little earlier. I do want to note as well that Texoma Gives information was migrated over. So a lot of you may log in and see that your logo and banner image are already there. Maybe you have the About section completed. So you will have those items checked off. As you can see over here, once something's completed, you'll get the blue check that verifies it's done. If it's not completed, of course, it will be unchecked. And I'll show you a little bit more about this when we get into the demo. But pretty exciting stuff. You might get in there and some items are checked, so you won't have to do as many things. Also optional for the organization page are to add your email, website, and social media. Again, this just helps the donor verify that you're the right org and get connected with you in other ways. But those are not required for registration. They are just highly recommended.
We do have some questions.
I would say, yeah, I think we've probably stopped for questions. Leslie, anything in the chat?
Yes. One person said they gave the wrong person's name with their bank on the EFT information. Do they need to change that or just leave it?
I would recommend changing it if it is the wrong person's name. It may or may not bounce back. We're really more looking at account info, but the name will be who the check is addressed to. So you might want to change that.
Okay. Next person says, where exactly to find the to-do list? I believe we can see that when you go in the demo, right?
And so, yeah, I'll show you in the demo exactly where to find that.
Somebody says, if I sent a check to register, can that check be used for EFT or do I need to? So I believe you upload the voided check, correct?
Yeah,
I wouldn't use the one that
the
you sent to register.
Yeah, that'll be separate from the EFT request. That check will go to Leslie, I assume.
Yeah.
And then the EFT upload will be on our site. So you'll just do a scan of a voided check.
Yes. Abigail says, can we edit our page past registration time, such as pictures, about, etc.?
Yes, you can, but you do need info in there to be approved for registration. So you can put information in and then continue to update it and add to it after registration closes. Just be sure you have that About section with 50 words and the other required logo and items that are needed to get approved for registration.
That's it.
Okay, awesome. Well, then we will get into the platform demo, the most exciting part. So hopefully everyone has visited the texomagives.org website. This is the homepage you'll land on. As we mentioned, nonprofit registration is open as the first tile you'll see, register today. Just want to recover these registration steps. You'll see the registration form as mentioned, and registration's open through July 31st. But again, I would say go in sooner than later to find your organization. Once you are logged in and part of our platform, as you'll see, my name is up here in the top right corner. So I have my list of several different things, but everyone has different sections. They have an organization section in their drop-down menu. So again, I'm an admin, so there's a lot happening in my menu, but you will see organization, and then you can choose the organization you're associated with from that list. You can manage multiple organizations. So if for some reason you manage your org and you're a board member for another organization and you want to get them involved, you can also manage their organization. So you're not limited to just one, but they will all be under your organization section in your account. One other thing I want to touch on, because I think this is important, is the account settings. If you go into account settings, you'll be able to set up multi-factor authentication, which we do recommend, and I believe we do require now for the EFT setup. So in order to submit an EFT request, you will need to go into your account settings and set up multi-factor authentication. It will also, if you're new, it will prompt you to do that when you create an account. So just do that right up front when it prompts you to do that. Otherwise, once you are logged in and on your organization profile page, this is what you'll see. So you'll be logged in and actually get to your overview first. You will see this notification that donations are disabled. That's okay. All donations across the site are disabled until early giving opens. So this is not something bad about your organization. This is just the way the platform works leading up to the event. So I would say don't worry about this message here. You will see a notification your organization setup is incomplete, see to-do list. This would help if you are trying to complete your to-do list. And then, as I mentioned, you will be able to see your registration status. So right now, as you'll see, I'm using the Community Foundation page as an example, and their registration is pending. Once it's approved, it will say you are registered for Texoma Gives 2024. I know one of the things we talked about already is the to-do list, so I'll show you that is right here up next to your dashboard. This is collapsible, so if you lose your dashboard menu, don't worry, just click the 3 dots here and it will come back. But you can close that to get more space, open it to see your options. Your to-do list is right next to that dashboard, and if it has a red dot, it means that it needs action. Something is incomplete. So let's say we want to do the thank you page. All you have to do is click thank you page and it will bring you to this place where that setting is. So this is very helpful. Our to-do list takes you right to where you need to be to complete the items on the list. To add your thank you page, you will click plus add custom content, and then you'll get this WYSIWYG editor where you can put text, images, there's some text formatting options, some font options. You can also change the color of your text, so you can make a branded message. A few other formatting options here. You can also insert links, images, and videos. I will note if you go to insert a video, it's going to ask you for a video URL. So we require either a YouTube or a Vimeo URL for this. You can't upload a video directly. That helps our site stay efficient, not having uploaded content on it like a video. So by linking, the user experience is better because it will load faster. And then there are some other things you can add as far as emojis and tables and, just play around with these different things as you go. I will note you can insert a button. So that is something different that you can do. You also have this button down here. And this button will always be here. So the default would be sending people back to your organization page. If you want to use a custom button, this is what I recommend. This will send your donor wherever you'd like. And I always say to organizations to use this for the next step you want your donors to complete. So maybe you want them to sign up for a newsletter or visit your website, view your annual report, something like that, follow you on Facebook or Instagram. So you can use this button here to send your donors to basically the next step that you would like them to take as a new donor or returning donor of your organization. But you can do a lot with this editor. You don't have to do anything crazy. If you put just an image and a nice message, that is a great way to have the thank you page set up. But you can really get creative and a little more complex with it if you're interested. If you have a marketing team, I would send them the link to this page and give them admin access so they can take care of the thank you page. But again, that is required for the to-do list. And again, the to-do list will take you to wherever you need to go. So let's say the about section, it's going to bring you to your organization page, and then you'll find the about section and put the text in. So as you can see, this text was brought over from the former platform. So it's already in there. That item is complete. I will note you might want to go in and update numbers or information if you had anything, sorry, Leslie, if you had anything annually specific on your site.
I
So
obviously have
actually
not
that's
updated anything.
it's a great reminder for everyone. If your information was migrated over, you may want to double check it and make sure it's all current because we brought it over from the other platform. While we are on the organization page, I do want to talk about how to edit it overall. So you may have edit mode toggled off when you arrive to this page. To edit, all you have to do is toggle on. Everywhere there is an icon, you can do something. So for this, you can upload your banner image, you can put a color overlay on there. This is where you can update your logo. The one thing with the logo is it is a square size. That is just kind of the standard with social media and everything these days for sharing. So if you need to resize your logo into a square, I would say use Canva. Canva is free. You can use the Instagram template, blank template to put your logo on there and download it in a square size. But if you need help getting your logo into a square, you can also write to our support team and they can walk you through the steps as well. You have your display name here, so you can always edit your display name. This does not affect your legal name, so this is a great place to put what you are known by in the community. My favorite example is the SPCA. A lot of times is spelled out in their legal name, but I think we all know our local SPCA is the SPCA. So you could update your title to an acronym that you're known by or just another name, a nickname, etc. The goal of this page is for your donors to get to the page and be able to easily identify your organization. So whatever would help the donors, I would say, is what you want to put here. You also have your donate and your fundraise button. So the donate button will not work right now. You'll see if I click it, it tells you not happening till September 5th. If you click fundraise, it will offer you to create a fundraiser. We will get further into this in our next webinar, so I'm not going to go further than here, but this is the beginning of starting a peer-to-peer fundraiser page. So if you want to experiment with that, you're welcome to click through and play with that feature before we go over it in August. You have your metrics here, and you can add a goal as well. Most things, if you don't want them to show, you'll see a hide section option when you go to edit them. There are a few things that cannot be hidden because they are staples for the organization page, such as the donate button, but the fundraise button can be hidden if you don't want people to set up peer-to-peer fundraisers. That is optional. And then you can also calculate or set your metrics to calculate at a certain time. We have set them to start calculating at early giving. I'm in Eastern time, so it's showing 1 a.m. For you, it probably will show 12 a.m. Or it should show 12 a.m. But if you would like to calculate your metrics starting at a different date, you're welcome to do that, but they will default to early giving. You can also decide if you want to show the dollars raised and the number of donors or only one of those items. Again, this is on-page editing, so feel free to click around and test out what it all looks like. It's very easy to go in and undo anything you've done. So we tried to make this very user-friendly. You can't really delete anything completely. I will say with the About section, make sure you hit this Save button. I have lost content before. Sometimes that button seems a little hidden up there in the right-hand corner. But once you've got content in your About section, you will want to click Save to ensure that it stays there. Something else you can do here is add a custom tab. So if you want an About section and then you want to highlight a program, or you can highlight Texoma Gives, for example, you could highlight the actual event itself. You can rename this tab. And then again, it's a editor just like the About section. You can put any content you like in here. Again, this is not required. It is just an optional extra feature that you have. Below your About section, actually, I will pause. Leslie, are there any questions about these initial things we've gone over?
Yes. I have Presbyterian Children's Home and Services. So she's registered for Texoma Gives, but her overview page only shows that she's registered for North Texas Giving Day.
Okay, I'm going to copy paste that for later.
Okay.
We may need to make sure that you're on the Texoma Gives URL site and not North Texas URL site. And I think they're happening at the same time. So we might need to give you 2 URLs to use. But
Okay.
to avoid confusing anyone else, we will talk about that separately.
Okay. We may have a few like that because there's a little overlap.
Yeah. Okay.
And Jana says, I've registered but have not been approved to manage the page. Can I still get to the to-do list, or do I need to wait for approval?
You will have to wait for approval.
Okay, that's what I thought. Our organization has several offices spread across the state. Would it be a good idea to mention our local office when adding our display name? I think so.
Yes.
Okay, that's it for now.
Okay. So below your About section, you'll see some options for adding other sections to your profile. Again, these are all optional, but they are great ways to continue engaging your donors. If you are running a peer-to-peer campaign, so you're having like your board members all create a peer-to-peer campaign page, you can actually create a featured campaign section. You just click plus, and then you can search for their campaign, their peer-to-peer campaign within your page, and have it added to the feature campaigns. If you add any section, you can always use the pencil icon to hide the section. So you can add something, see what it looks like, take it away if you don't like it. One of the sections I always recommend is the giving activity. This will start to list out donors. So it's like your own personal donor wall for your organization. If donors choose to be anonymous or hide their name, this will obviously honor those requests, but it will show giving activity for your organization as you go through Texoma Gives Day. Again, if you want to hide it, you can hide that section. So featured campaigns, you select specific peer-to-peer fundraisers. You can also just do all supporting campaigns, and it will generate a list. I don't know if we have any as an example yet. It will autofill this with any peer-to-peer campaign that's been created for you. So you don't have to select them individually if you just want to feature all campaigns. One thing I want to note as well is the media gallery. So this is a great way to upload images. As you'll see in the About section, these are great statistic images, but if Leslie had filled this with a bunch of photos from an event, when you look at this on mobile, it's going to get really clunky. So what we did is, add a photo or two to this section for sure. But once you get past maybe 3 photos total, I would say you want to start using the media gallery. And this is where you could put as many photos as you like from all time. If you want to feature events, volunteers, programs, that kind of thing. As well as the media gallery, you can also just connect your Instagram or Facebook pages. And those are, again, auto-generated. We'll bring your Instagram gallery over or your Facebook gallery over. We always say this can be a little tricky depending on how Facebook and Instagram are currently set up and acting. So if you have any issues with Instagram, Facebook galleries, just write to our support team and they'll be able to help you. Again, that's support@mightycause.com. Usually these work, but occasionally we'll have some issues just depending on if Facebook has updated a setting or something like that. You also have your organization data section. So you'll see it's pre-filled with some information that we pull over from the IRS. This is where you will add your contact information as recommended in the to-do list. And then you can add other names you're known by. This helps organizations who have multiple names or multiple locations. You can put those here as well. But you can do a little bit of editing here in the organization data. And that is your profile page. So the goal of this really, again, it feels like a lot to do. It is almost all optional. Like we have the required things you need to do. But this is just a great way for you to build out a page to share with your supporters different things about your organization. This is going to look different for everyone. So you may choose to have a lot of information. You may choose to have an about section and a couple photos, and like that works for your organization. So don't feel pressured to fill it out with every single thing. Just think about what works best with your strategy for giving. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well in August, how to decide what sections to use. But just play around with this, have fun, fill it out and see what it looks like. And I think that's the best way to find what works for your organization. And then once you're done, you can click out of edit mode up here again, and you'll be able to see the donor view of your page. So you'll see those sections that are that can be added are all hidden, and it goes right from the about to the organization data.
I have a question.
Sure.
If you're in edit mode And then back down there on the organization data, the categories, is that, if you start typing, does it bring some up?
It should,
Oh, it just did.
and it
Okay.
actually, it will give you, these are our general platform categories.
Okay.
These are tags that our platform has created, so these are not something like Leslie's has created for you, but it is a great way to tag your organization with certain categories for being in search and other things if people search keywords. So not required, but yes, something you can do.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. A lot of people, when they go to search, especially with this platform, they're going to, like, if they are animal lovers, they may pull up all the ones that are in the animal category. So I think it's pretty important to have that in there.
Okay. Yeah, that is a great way to enhance the search.
Yeah.
And so that'll be for everyone listening. That is at the very bottom of your organization page. You have your organization data section, and you'll see categories with a pencil icon. And then you can just click for the drop down or search a category.
One question we had was, does the media gallery allow captions for the photos?
It does not. So it's just truly just photos.
Okay.
Any other questions in the chat?
Nope.
Okay. So we will come back to fundraising tools in August. If you would like to open this section and start clicking around, absolutely feel free. And we have support articles on how to use these, but they are somewhat complex. So I want to get a little bit into the other tools first, and then again, we'll revisit that in August. As far as reporting, all of your reporting are here. You have all donations. So this is the best way to find all of your donations, and they are searchable by time period. So if you do a custom date range, you can search, if you were part of the event in the past, you can search your old donations by date range. If you are part of multiple events, you can also view by giving event. So those of you who mentioned North Texas, you can view your donations by giving event and then choose Texoma Gives, or you'll also see North Texas in this list. So you can sort by giving event as well. You can also sort by minimum and maximum donations. So you'll be able to see donation ranges. If you have giving circle levels or any kind of like leadership level giving, you can sort by that, maybe a minimum donation of 1,000. There are several different filters here, so feel free to play around with those. And then once you have donations in here, you will see a little button for download. So then you can download the data based on what you filtered by. You can also add offline donations one at a time. So if you wanted to add an offline donation, you can put first and last name of the donor, the amount. You'll need to put the source of the donation here, and then any other optional information that helps you know where that donation came from, etc. So you can also add offline donations one by one. And then there's also a download button up here, which might be a little easier to find. So once you've created your filters, you can just click download up here as well. Once we finish the event, you'll be able to see your disbursement reports here. One of the very important sections, this is where thank you page lives, is your checkout section. So you can click donation form. Once you are registered, you'll be able to edit your donation form as far as suggested amounts and things. This is also where you can update your thank you page. And then you can also edit your donation receipt message if you'd like to have like a little note above the donation receipt, and you'll see the preview here. I would recommend, we have a character limit of 5,000. I would recommend just a short note, maybe from your executive director or a board member, your board chair, maybe the campaign chair who leads Texoma Gives in your organization. But some kind of message for the donation receipt that also says thank you. It's just another great way to immediately thank your donors in the moment. Just a great way to do that, so you don't have to send individual emails per se to everybody. One other thing I want to touch on is your settings. If you go to your general settings, you'll see that you can customize the URL. So we have a custom URL, can only be used once. So you may find that you have to put a number at the end if you have a common acronym or a common name that you want to use. But I would recommend creating a custom URL so that when you share the link to texomagives.org with your organization directly, it's more than just some numbers and letters. It actually says, you know, Wichita Falls Area Community Foundation. Discoverability is where you can hide yourself from search. I will say if you turn this off, you can turn this off, but it will take you out of Texoma Gives search. So ideally, you really don't want to turn this off. If for some reason you need to hide your page while you make edits, that's totally fine. I recommend leaving discoverability on at all times, but that is something you have control over. I know we talked about maybe different areas participating. So this is where you can put alternate search names, or maybe you were known by another name in the past. Maybe people misspell your name. Our system does identify common misspellings, but if you have some like really strong misspellings of your name, you may want to put them in one of these boxes as an alternate search name to be sure that people can find you. This will not update your display name. It will not update your legal name. This is truly just other search terms that may help find your organization. You'll see your search tags as well. This is where you can update your categories. These will autofill. The annual operating and the county served will autofill from the registration form, so you do not need to touch these. Once your registration is approved, they will appear here. But the categories, like we talked about, you can actually update here as well. And then the last thing I'll touch on is social sharing. So this is where I'm sure everyone knows how when you share a link, it creates a preview. Like if you put something on LinkedIn or in Slack, it'll create a preview of the link. This is how you control what that preview is. So you'll see the foundation has their logo nicely uploaded here. They have a nice little card title about support the foundation on Texoma Gives, and then a quick little card description. We do have character limits here, so keep those in mind, but this is a great way to control that preview. Otherwise, it will default to the Texoma Gives preview. So you definitely want to update your social sharing settings. You can also have a Twitter account here or the hashtags there to help with the post. If you have hashtags about your post, that way you can see who's sharing, things like that. So, and then you'll just click save to save those. The image, again, you'll just use the pencil icon. You can actually crop on the screen. For all images, you'll have these different options for uploading an image. Local files is where you'll pull a file from your computer. Otherwise, you can, direct link, Facebook, a Google Drive, connect these different accounts that you may have. But the easiest way is just to upload from your computer, and then you can crop on screen and click done to save, or I'm going to cancel so that I don't mess up Leslie's photo. But all great ways to, again, enhance the donor experience and the sharing of your page. And with that, I do want to note one other thing. On the organization page, since we're talking about sharing pages, if you're on your organization page, you can just click and copy the URL up here in your URL box. You can also use share this organization, and it will prompt you for like an email, a Twitter, or a Facebook share. These are just great ways to like quick share to your Facebook or to Twitter or email. But the easiest way, again, is just copy paste the link right from the URL bar into wherever you're trying to share. I believe that's all we're going to cover today. Like I said, we have another webinar. I'm going to go back to the slides real quick. We have another webinar on August 7th at 10 a.m. So we'll be going over other fundraising features and features on the platform. So hopefully any additional questions will be answered then. You're also welcome, like I said, to click through, play around in the site, and visit our support forum. We have a lot of great support articles with screenshots and step-by-step walkthroughs. So you can always do the support forum to get started on that, but we'll cover everything else in August. I have the support email here on the screen. So as you're getting started, again, you can email our support team for assistance with anything technical. If you send them a question that we need to consult Leslie on, we can do that. So no worries there, but support@mightycause.com is your best bet for technical support. And Leslie, any other questions that came in?
Someone just asked where they'll be able to watch it, and I said we would upload it to the Texoma Gives training page.
We will, yep. And we will share the slide deck as well, which I know won't have the platform demo, but it will have those registration steps, which is right now probably the most important thing to be looking at.
And Abigail says, thank you, Grace, for your expertise and your excellent way of clearly and concisely and slowly going through everything.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I know it's a lot of information, so we're here to help, and hopefully by next webinar, a little bit more is going to make sense. We'll be covering more items. I'm excited to get everyone onboarded.
Me too.
Awesome. Well, I think that wraps everything up. Leslie, do you have anything you wanted to add before we end the webinar?
No, thank you, Grace, and thank you everybody for attending.
Yeah, thanks everyone. We will see you in August.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.